What's up, everybody? Jay Miller here, and this is another solo episode. I promise we're going to be having interviews coming up. More on that later, but I wanted to talk about this after I heard a very powerful conversation from my friends over at the Coolest Nerds in the Room. Now, if you follow the podcast, you know one of the last couple of interviews that I've had have been with InfoSteph and Reggie, which those are the hosts for the Coolest Nerds in the Room. I'm also a patron for them, and there's a very big reason why, and that primary reason is because I absolutely love that they are okay with talking about what is on their mind, what is on their heart. So that said, that has inspired me to come out here again and talk about stuff. If you're looking for a break from police violence and police brutality, I won't be speaking to that directly, but I will be talking in reference to it. So I'm going to try to be aware that some folks are really struggling with this whole situation, as am I. I am personally struggling with this situation. But I want to talk about something that might get me in trouble. I don't know. Those that know me, I have a couple of things that I do. Obviously, this podcast is one of them. The other side of that is the business that is Productivity in Tech, which is me helping other developers and people in tech with their podcasts, whether it's editing, transcription services, marketing, social media, all those things. But I also have a day job, and I won't out the day job on this show, although I don't really necessarily make it too hard not to figure out who I work for. If you really want to find out who it is, you can do your own investigative reports, but I don't need to talk about them. They are not the point. But anyway, given all of the events that have happened recently involving African Americans all over the country, two of those African Americans that have been gunned down recently by police officers were in my co-home state of Georgia. For those that don't know, I was born in Tennessee and moved to Georgia when I was a teenager. Both of those areas are probably within an hour to an hour and a half from where I spent a large portion of my childhood. This isn't something that I shy away from. People know my history. People know my past. More than anything, they know my skin tone, and they know that I wear my emotions on my sleeve. So why is it that to this day, there has not been a mention either internally or externally about the stance against police brutality towards African Americans or towards racial injustices and problems in hiring, education, wage equality, among many other things for African Americans? We're going to talk about Apple in a second, but I preface that to say if Apple can donate a ton of money, I don't know in retrospect to what it is, even if it was 1% of what they make, if Apple can donate 1%, if Twitter can donate 1%, Twitter, who is literally responsible for a lot of the issues that we are dealing with, I hold them directly responsible for a lot of the crap that we deal with on a regular basis because of the platform that they have given to so many people. And instead of working to resolve those problems, they continue to just push out new features and new releases, allowing them to spread their message even further and with greater ease. With companies like Reddit, whose CEO has stepped down to allow a more diverse board to come in and actually bring some change to a company at the top level. If companies like that can understand that they are effectively harming people, why is it that your average run-of-the-mill company can't look and have a little bit of empathy for your African American employees, your minority employees, your employees that may be hurt, your employees that may have to deal with gender, transgender, LGBTQI plus discrimination, and many other things, and say, you know what? Even if we are not qualified to speak on behalf of the entire community, we can speak in regards to our respect and our love for our employees. And at least reach out to those individuals from within the company and say, look, I don't know how to be the best ally. Why am I talking about this? Simple. I don't know who listens to this show. I am hoping that someone that listens to this show is in a position that they can do that for one of their employees if they haven't already. I'm talking about this because I, once again, am very, very exhausted. This year has been draining on me so much. What do companies want from us? They want our silent consent in their actions. They want us to sit down, they want us to be quiet, and they want us to endorse whatever decisions they have made because they write our paychecks. I will never tell somebody they need to quit their job because as a husband and a father, I fully understand the anxiety that comes with not knowing when you're going to land that next job. I will say that if you do not like the situation that you're in, if you don't agree with what is happening in your company, don't be silent. Don't be complicit. And do not allow excuses. If they fire you, you qualify for unemployment. And obviously that is a very overreaching phrase there. I know that there are some ways that people can get cheated out of those things that they have earned. But as safely to you and your lifestyle as possible, do not allow them to get away with it. Be that mosquito in the room. It doesn't have to be loud and everyone sees it. Everyone knows it's there. If you see a problem, say something. Start small, start within your team, start with your direct management, and ask them to escalate it to the next step. If that doesn't work, then escalate it yourself. If you've made it all the way to the president and the president's no longer listening, then turn to the public. Don't go out of order, but be vocal on the subject. Not everyone will be on your side, and that's okay. Don't let that stop you from doing what you think is right. Don't let false threats or empty threats of no growth through a company or things like that. I can promise you now, if the only way you can grow in a company is by falling in line, you don't want to grow in that company. You want that company not to continue growing. The best leaders are the ones that stand up and take action, especially when it's necessary. The best leaders prepare for when there's an issue so that making the right decision during a time where it is hard to do so is now easy. There's a saying, you practice like you play. If your company is doing what it takes when there isn't mass unrest throughout the country, then that will help your company handle the situation very effectively when there is. And last but not least, if you are a consumer, if you see something that you are against, such as Apple's decision towards popular email application, Hey, from even more popular company, Basecamp. Here's the thing. Everyone is willing to stand up and say, I don't like this. I'm upset with what Apple's doing. Nobody is willing to take their app out of the store. The team at Basecamp is. I fully believe they are. I know DHH will he'll take his app out of the store and straight to Congress. He is not afraid to offend or upset. But if you are still okay with it, and to be honest, I'm not that upset with it. I'm also not an app developer. It has little to no impact on me. And while I empathize with people who are trying their best to do something and are being taxed by a company that has a ton of money, I also understand that they are also in the position that those individuals are not the people. Sure, would they like a little bit extra? Absolutely. Are they okay with what they're getting right now? Probably. And that's why they won't say anything. And that's why they'll shout behind Twitter, the giant wall of Twitter that is people echoing their hate and discontent. But at the end of the day, they will not do anything. And I wouldn't ask them to. But if you do disagree with it, if you do say that people are not doing the right thing or companies aren't doing the right thing, I don't even know if this is true, but when I was growing up, there was a rumor that Tommy Hilfiger had stated that he doesn't make his clothes for African Americans. I don't know what the full story behind that is. I grew up listening to that or hearing that. And to this day, I do not wear Tommy Hilfiger. Honestly, I haven't seen Tommy Hilfiger available or on any African American in a long time. I don't even know where you can buy Tommy Hilfiger other than probably their website. Maybe on Amazon or something like that. But when you see something is wrong, say something, take action, vote with your time, vote with your energy, vote with your wallet. But most importantly, don't be silent. I am upset with the company that I work for because I feel that they don't care about the African Americans and other minority groups that make up the bulk of their working staff. I don't think they care. I don't think they feel like they have a reason that they need to care. And I have a problem with that. But at the end of the day, I'm just one person. I will be loud. I will say what I have to say, and I will not back down from it. On to a lighter topic. A few weeks ago, I gave everyone the ultimatum of if they wanted more content on a regular basis, that they needed to say something. Again, vote with your time, vote with your energy. People did not vote. I will continue to do the podcast and releasing interviews on a monthly basis. And I will continue to come on here every now and then when something is scratching an itch that I just have to get out, and I will share it with you, the audience. I'll tell you now, I have 2 interviews that I already have recorded that will be going out in July and in August. Maybe both in July. I don't know yet. I haven't figured it out. I'm going to be on vacation for a good chunk of July, so we'll see. But I have heard from the people that they are ultimately not interested in an increase in interviews. I have heard from people that I have tried to get onto the show for interviews that they are not interested in being interviewed by me. Ultimately, at this point, all I can do is put out the content that is available to me. This was a heavier episode. I can't hide it. I can't deny it. I do have some stuff that I want to talk about, but ultimately, I'm not in the mood to talk about it. So what I will be doing is talking a little bit more about what's been going on this month for me in terms of productivity, in terms of technology, on my newsletter. I will add a link to sign up for that in the show notes if you're interested in hearing that. Something's wrong right now, guys. Folks, there's a lot going on, and we are in a time that feels dark. We're in a time where people are very, very upset. We are in a time where people want to escape from the realities that they're faced with, but cannot due to a looming quarantine. The people that are able to escape are, for some reason, not staying as safe as possible. And that's not to say that everyone is doing that, but at a large enough scale, we are not doing enough. It's funny, for the last few weeks, my timeline has been riddled with protesting and wanting to stand up and say something about the given situation. But all it took was a millionaire or billionaire or whatever to be upset with another millionaire or billionaire or whatever, that now tech Twitter has effectively forgotten all about the issues that still affect Black lives everywhere. Meanwhile, the people that do care are sitting at home trying to make extremely tough decisions that could impact them, their career, and even their family's livelihood, all for the sake of making big decisions like who to work for and who to work with. That's not necessarily everyone's burden to bear, but we need to start showing more empathy towards those that are experiencing a different side of tech than we are. If you like this episode, you can tell me about it. I don't know how much I'll be checking Twitter. My Twitter timeline has been pruned a lot. The people that I follow have been reduced a lot, mostly so that I can come up for air. But if you're a member of our Slack group, you can always reach me. Y'all know that. If you're a member, if you follow me on Twitter, you can tweet at me. I'll get a notification that you've tweeted at me directly. And of course, you can always email me, info@productivityintech.com. I'm always looking for feedback about the show. I'm always looking for new and exciting ways to help folks out there be more productive, but I really needed to get this off my chest. So with that, I'll thank Nadir Omowale for the use of his music, Hustler in spite of myself for the intro and outro. I will thank everyone listening, and I do hope that at least for a little bit I've been productive. I'll see you next time.